Hello and welcome to the FA Women's National League show. The show where we look at everything that's going on in the third and fourth tiers of women's football in England, in the Northern Premier, Southern Premier divisions and Division 1 in the North, the Midlands, the South East and the South West. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to bring you all the very latest from the FA Women's National League and to help grow the league as best I can. We'll start, as we always do, with the Northern results. This episode might be slightly shorter again because we haven't had too many fixtures. It's been County Cup and there is a lot of County Cup coming up as well. And I think now we're getting to that time of year where we're starting to see postponements because of waterlogged pitches. Eventually the snow and the frost will start to take an effect on the pitches as well. So there's going to be fewer games to talk about kind of between now and Christmas, you would think, as a whole. But that should mean we can go into games in a bit more detail without me having to watch the clock quite so much. So let's start with the Northern Premier Division results. Now these include the games in midweek. So on Tuesday, there's the one game on Tuesday, West Bromwich Albion against Nottingham Forest. It finished in a 0-0 draw. Nottingham Forest not had the best of weeks after that defeat to Derby as well. Then on Wednesday, Brighouse Town beating Burnley by a slim margin of 1-0. That goal coming from Amy Woodruff for Brighouse Town. Then on Thursday, we had three games. Derby County beating the Loughborough Lightning by 3-0. Another strong game for Derby. Goals coming from that one. Ellie Gilliatt again still putting goals away. 12th minute and the 13th minute. Megan Tinsley in the 21st minute, making it 3-0 to Derby inside the first quarter of the game, the first half of the first half, and it was always going to be difficult for Loughborough to come back from that one. We'll have a look at some of the league stats as well at the end of this because Gilliatt doing really well in the goal-scoring column. Huddersfield Town with a convincing 6-0 victory over Sheffield FC. Goals in that one coming to Brittany Sanderson on the 37th minute and Kate Mallin in the 45th minute to make it 2-0 at half-time. Brittany Sanderson getting her second of the game just after the hour mark. Laura Elford coming off the substitute bench, getting 2 in 5 minutes in 70 and 75. And then Rhea Montgomery in the 89th minute. Going through then the final game on Thursday, Wolverhampton Wanderers maintaining their spot at the top. Helen Dermody, Tammy George, Leonie Joyce and Anna Morfitt with the 4 goals that took Wolverhampton Wanderers past Stoke City. Then we move into the weekend where because of the preliminary rounds, I always get preliminary and determinary mixed up, but the preliminary rounds of the Cup and the Plate, those 6 or 5 ties, we'll get into that later as well, 6 or 5 ties that weren't, the teams that were unlucky enough not to get a bye, they had their preliminary round and we've had the draw as well, which again I'll go into later. So we'll go into the weekend first. Loughborough Lightning 1, Middlesbrough 2. Loughborough Lightning with 2 defeats this week. Goals for Middlesbrough coming from Armani Maxwell and Rebecca Ollie. Goal for Loughborough was an own goal in the 57th minute from Middlesbrough, but they had enough to get all 3 points. West Bromwich Albion 1, Huddersfield Town 3. Again, another 2 victory week for Huddersfield Town, who took the lead thanks to Laura Elford in the first minute of the game. And then she got her second of the game on 40 minutes, Serena Fletcher on 61 minutes. Single goal for West Bromwich Albion coming to Sharon Stamps for West Bromwich Albion. Huddersfield winning by 3-1. Then Wolverhampton Wanderers were pushed all the way by Hull City, but they came out 3-2 winners. Goals for Hull City from Liberty Bott in the 44th minute and Emily Smith in the 74th minute. No indication on the timings of the goals for Wolves winning, but Helen Dermody, Leonie Joyce and Lauren Riley coming off the bench. to make it a 3-2 victory to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's have a look at the table then. So Wolves at the top by 4 points now with 22 points from their 8 games. Derby County are in second. They're 4 points back, but they've got a game in hand, so they could close that gap to just 1. Huddersfield Town third on 17. Fylde on 16. Forest now down in 5th place with 14 points from 8 games. Burnley on 12, as are Brighouse Town in the middle of the table. West Bromwich Albion 4 points back on 8. Middlesbrough and Sheffield on 6 points each. Stoke City and Loughborough Lightning on 4 points each. And at the bottom of the table, Hull City, who are yet to get a win this season. Just the 1 draw for them. So I said we'd have a look at the stats then. So in terms of goal scorers, Ellie Gilliatt for Derby County, as I mentioned earlier, top of the goal chart. 12 goals in 9 games, including the cups there. 12 goals in 9 games for Derby County. See if I can make it just league only. Yes, I can. So really strong performance from her. So it's 8 goals in 7 games in the league for Ellie Gilliatt. Laura Elford of Huddersfield Town on 7 goals, as is Brittany Sanderson, also of Huddersfield Town, on 7 goals as well. So strong performances from Derby and Huddersfield, which is what you'd expect because they're up at the top of the table. Wolverhampton Wanderers, just for the sake of clarity, Anna Morfitt, their top scorer with 5 goals in 8 games. So Wolves really spreading the goals around a bit more than Derby and Huddersfield are. So that's the Northern Premier Division. Let's now go to the Southern Premier Division and look at some of the games that happened in midweek. The Southern Premier Division has by far been the busiest of the leagues this past week. So we'll look firstly at the games in midweek. Gillingham 1, Crawley Wasps 0. Bridgewater United 9, Keynsham Town 0. MK Dons 1, London Bees 5, and Portsmouth 3, Chichester and Chelsea 1. Those were the games from midweek because Hounslow against Oxford United was postponed. So we'll start with Gillingham against Crawley Wasps. A really late goal here, 90+1 for Amy Russ to give Gillingham the 3 points, vital 3 points for Gillingham, and one that they will look back on at the end of the season as an important 3 points for them. Bridgewater United had a field day against Keynsham Town. Only 6 of the goals have been recorded, so bear with me a minute while I try and find the rest. So Bridgewater United started on the 14th minute, Sydney Hinchcliffe opening the scoring. 41st minute, Alice Griffiths. 45th minute, Bo Jackson. 51st minute, Amy Goddard. 72nd minute, Jasmine Turner. And 85th minute, Laura Holden are the goals that have been recorded. But as I said, that only makes 6 goals, and Bridgewater won by 9 goals to 0. So unsure about the rest of them there. There's nothing on the game log either. So not sure about the final 3 goals there, I must be honest. Milton Keynes Dons 1, London Bees 5. Goal for Tricia Hannah-Gould for MK Dons. But 5 goals for London Bees. A hat-trick for Nicole Jancy. 56th, 76th and 78th minute. And 2 goals for Joe Wilson. 33rd and 68th minutes. So 4 goals for the London Bees in the space of 22 second half minutes. Really put that game out of MK Dons' reach. And then finally, for the week, Portsmouth against Chichester and Chelsea, a 3-1 victory for Portsmouth. They took the lead in the first half, Shannon Albury on 12 minutes. Danielle Lane then made it 2-0 on 53 minutes before Amber Howden pulled one back for Chichester and Chelsea in the 63rd minute. Samantha Quayle doubling the advantage again for Portsmouth on the 83rd minute. Then we move into the fixtures from the weekend. Crawley Wasps 5, Chichester and Chelsea 0, Hounslow 0, Keynsham Town 1, Ipswich Town 3, Milton Keynes Dons 0, London Bees 4, Gillingham 0, and Portsmouth 0, Bridgewater United 2. So we'll start then with Crawley Wasps against Chichester and Chelsea. A 5-0 victory for Crawley. with the scoring being opened on the 10th minute. Cara Boylan getting that one. Then in the 23rd minute, there was another goal that they haven't recorded the scorer of. 37th minute, Imogen Lancaster. And then in the 45th plus 1 minute, Cara Boylan again. So 4-0 at half-time to Crawley. And then Emma Jane Plewer in the 80th minute made it 5-0 to Crawley. Keynsham Town winning away at Hounslow by 1-0. Kerry Bartlett with an 89th minute winner for Keynsham Town. Very close, Hounslow, to getting a point, but Kerry Bartlett just a minute from time popping up and giving Keynsham all 3 points. Ipswich Town at the top of the table still. Zoe Barrett with 2 goals and Lucy O'Brien with 1 to give them a 3-0 victory over Milton Keynes Dons. London Bees had a 4-0 victory over Gillingham. 26th and 58th minute goals for Hannah Porter, helped by a 74th minute goal to Jo Wilson and an 89th minute goal to Courtney Ward-Chambers. Gave London Bees a 4-0 victory. And then finally at the weekend, Bridgewater United winning away at Portsmouth by 2-0. Poppy Wilson just before half-time in the 45th minute, opening the scoring. Misha Dudley-Jones in the 68th minute made it 2-0. It does mean, if we look at the table, that Ipswich Town are now leading by 3 points over Southampton because Southampton's game against Cardiff City was postponed. So Ipswich maintain their 100% record. Southampton also have a 100% record, but they are 3 points behind with that game in hand. Just look at those goal differences though. 29 for Ipswich and 39 for Southampton. Bridgewater United in third, 20 points. Crawley Wasps in fourth on 18. Portsmouth and Gillingham both have 16 points in fifth and sixth respectively. Oxford United and London Bees in 7th and 8th on 13 points. Cardiff City in 9th on 10 points. Keynsham Town with those 3 points on 9 now. Chester and Chelsea a good way back on 4 points. Plymouth Argyle third from bottom with 3 points. MK Dons have 2. And Hounslow, as I said there, still yet to get a point this season after being denied by Keynsham Town in the 89th minute. Some stats then for the Southern Premier Division. Said Ipswich and Southampton still right at the top of the table with 100% records. Top of the goal scoring tally is Ella Pusey for Southampton. 13 goals in 7 games in the league for Ella Pusey. 2 Portsmouth players then, Sherelle Castle and Shannon Albury on 8 goals and 7 goals respectively. London Bees' Nicole Jancy has 6 goals in 8 games. And rounding out the top 5, Oxford United's Beth Lumsden also with 6 goals in those 7 games. So plenty of top scorers and high scorers, particularly with Southampton. But their 100% league, their 100% league record might carry on, but the cup record might go. And again, we'll get to that later on in the show. Let's move then to the Division 1 Midlands, where it has been very quiet in Division 1 this week. So we should get through this relatively quickly. But again, I'll keep going back to the stats just to kind of keep things a bit more interesting because we've got the cup and the plate results and the draw to go through. So in the league, we'll start with Burton Albion 1, Bedworth United 4, where there is absolutely no details on that at all, other than directions on how to get to Rochester Football Club. Okay, then we'll go to Doncaster Rovers, Bells 5, Leek Town 0 then. A big win for Doncaster Rovers. 2 goals for Jessica Andrew, 1 for Charlotte Dinsdale, 1 for Nadia Khan, and 1 for Jasmine Saxton, giving Doncaster Rovers Bells a 5-0 victory. And then Lincoln City 3, Howell Sports 1. There's no information as of yet about Lincoln City's scorers, but Howell Sports' scorer Katie Loudon getting their goal. What that means for the table then is Lincoln City are at the top, 5 points clear now of Boldmere St Michael's in second, and Doncaster Rovers Bells joint second there, third Doncaster Rovers Bells because of the goal difference. But both of those teams have a game in hand, so they could get it back to 2 points. Longington United are in fourth, a further point back on 15. Leek Town in sixth, 12 points from their 9 games, but a minus 10 goal difference. Leek Town, grinding out the 1-0 victories, 2-0 victories, but then losing heavily as well. So minus 10 for Leek Town. They're on 12 points. Solihull Moors, Holwell Sports and Leafield Athletic all on 10 points in the middle of the table. Peterborough United on 8, Wem Town on 7, Sporting Cowser on 6, penultimately Burton Albion on 5, and Biddeford United at the bottom of the table on 3 points for the Division 1 Midlands. Look at some of the leading scorers for the Division 1 Midlands. And at the top with 7 goals from 7 games, Leah Hardy of Lincoln City. Second and third, Catherine Pagan and Keir Perkins of Solihull Moors and Peterborough United also have 7 goals, but have played 1 game more. Lois Jeffries of Solihull Moors in fourth with 6 goals. Stephanie Weston of Boldmere St Michael's with 6 goals from 7 games. Let's go into Division 1 North then. Only 1 game, but was it a good one. Leeds United 5, Durham Sestra 5. In the Division 1 North, a back and forth game if there ever was one here. We'll start with the goals for Leeds United at the start of the game. 12th minute, Rebecca Hunt. 27th minute, Abby Brown. And 34th minute, Olivia Smart. Leeds United 3-0 up at the 35-minute mark. Durham Sestra then get one back. Jordan Atkinson on the 36th minute making it 3-1. Laura Bartup making it 4-1 though on the 43rd minute. So half time, Leeds United 4, Durham Sestra 1. We then go into the second half. Jordan Atkinson gets her second of the game in the 55th minute. Then substitutes come. Ellen Turnbull comes on in the 62nd minute. Before or after, not too sure. Laura Bartup gets her second of the game and makes it 5-2 to Leeds United. 2 minutes after coming on, Ellen Turnbull gets a goal, 64th minute, making it 5-3. Jordan Atkinson then gets a hat-trick on the 78th minute to make it 5-4, and Ellen Turnbull gets the second of the game from the substitute bench with 2 minutes of normal time to go to make it 5-5. So brilliant comeback from Durham Sestra in that one. And what a game that would have been to watch. Leeds United fans surely thought that they had that one sewn up at half time. What that means for the North table then is basically the same as it was last week, just with extra points added. So Leeds United gain a point at the top of the table, but it means that Liverpool Feds now have 2 games in hand on them and are only 1 point back. Newcastle United have 3 games in hand on them and are only 2 wins back. So Leeds could find themselves slipping off that top spot when the games in hand are played. And then in the middle of the table there, Durham Sestra 5 up from the bottom, went from 9 points to 10 points, but the goal difference remains the same. That pretty much was their game in hand on the team around them, although a win could see them climb above FC United of Manchester and Stockport County. With their game in hand, Chorley, of course, they could climb above them, but Chorley have played the same number of games as Durham Sestra. Stats in the North then, as we're approaching kind of a third of the way through the season as well. This is episode 10 of this show, 2.5 months now I've been doing this. So we'll have a look at the goal scorers in the Division 1 North. Laura Bartup for Leeds United, 11 goals in 9 games. Kirsty Chambers, 8 goals in 8 games for FC United of Manchester, and Bianca Owens of Norton and Stockton Ancients, 7 goals in 7 games. So plenty of players that are popping up with a goal a game. Katie Barker and Casey Elson, both of Newcastle United, with 6 goals in just 4 appearances for the club. So really strong for Newcastle as well. Unsurprisingly, of course, these players popping up on the goal at the top of the goal charts are also for the teams near the top of the table. Move then into the Division 1 South East, where we had 4 games. We had Billericay Town 3, Enfield Town 2, Harlow Town 0, #United 8, London Seaward 1, Actonians 1, and Stevenage 0, Cambridge United 2. Let's start then with Billericay Town against Enfield Town. 2 goals for Ellie Jeffkins and 1 for Zoe Rushton for Billericay Town. Goals for Enfield Town coming to Molly Committer in the 27th minute and Chow Thomas in the 77th minute. Go through then to Harlow Town against #United. A big 8-0 victory for #United, but unfortunately there aren't any details on that game yet, so can't bring you the scorers for #United. We'll move then to London Seaward against Actonians. Actonians took the lead in this one. Sharon Odofin on the 31st minute, but Niamh Carty equalising for London Seaward on the stroke of half-time, final minute of normal time, to make it 1-1, and that's how it stayed through the second half. And Stevenage 0, Cambridge United 2. Laura Baker and Laura Mitchell getting the goals for Cambridge United. To the table then, #United at the top with a goal difference of 31. That 8-0 victory really helping out the goal difference. They're 3 points clear of Billericay Town in second, but Billericay Town have the game in hand. Actonians in third, a further 5 points back from Billericay Town. So #United and Billericay Town starting to just pull that gap out on the rest. It might turn into a 2-horse race very, very quickly. AFC Wimbledon are in 4th, Cambridge United 5th, London Seaward in 6th on 11 points. There's another 4-point gap there, but London Seaward do have a game in hand. Cambridge City, middle of the table, 10 points, but have played more than anybody else apart from #United at the top of the table. Queen's Park Rangers, 7 points, but they've only played 6 games. They've got 3 games in hand on a lot of these teams. Norwich City, 7 points from 7 games. Enfield Town and Stevenage have 6 points each. Then there's another gap to Harlow Town in the penultimate position with 1 point. And Kent Football United still yet to get a point this season. In terms of some stats, it's Ashley Hinks of AFC Wimbledon with 10 goals in 8 games, who tops the scoring charts. Cambridge City's Grace Stanley on 8 goals from 9 games. #United's Sasha Adamson has 7 goals from 8 games. So another one of those sides that are spreading the goals around. No one real kind of firepower player for #United. They've also got players in 7th and 10th. Zoe Rushton of Billericay Town, 7 goals in 8 games. And Alessandra Barreca for Actonians, again up near the top of the table, 6 goals in 8 games. Finally then, we're going to look at Division 1 South West. Again, not that many games, but a thriller between Larkhall Athletic and Chesham United. Goals for Larkhall Athletic coming from Rhiannon Robbins in the 36th and 40th minute, 54th minute Sky Hull, and 64th minute Eleanor Marie Briscoe. No details yet about Chesham United, so can't give you their scorers, unfortunately. And Southampton women beating Portishead by 7 goals to 0. A 4-goal afternoon for Sian Wiley in the 5th, the 67th, the 84th, and the 89th minute. There was also then a goal for Rachel Okoro in the 28th minute. And then finally a goal for Brittany Gill in the 91st minute. That does only make 6 goals out of the 7, but there doesn't seem to be any more information about the other goal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Is it a second? Oh, so it's a second goal for Rachel Okoro. They just haven't put a time down for that second goal. So 2 for Rachel Okoro, 4 for Sian Wiley, and 1 for Brittany Gill. Division 1 Southwest table, then Southampton Women at the top with Cheltenham Town, those two going toe for toe in the early part of this season. Exeter City and Chesham United, a game back and with a game in hand. So we could see it where we have 4 teams with the same number of points at the top of the table. Bournemouth are behind, but they've only played 6, so they could actually win both their games in hand and go to the top of the table. Such is the nature of the Division 1 Southwest at the moment. Portishead, middle of the table, 11 points from 9 games. Maidenhead United as well, they've only played 5 and they've got 7 points. 9 points there, that puts them on 16. All of a sudden, they're right up there as well. So the Southwest, I think, is probably the closest league in terms of the entire league that we've got at the moment this year. Larkhall Athletic, 7 points from 7 games. Swindon Town and Buckland Athletic, 3 points each, 6 games and 5 games respectively. Poole Town at the bottom, still yet to get a point this season. Finally, we'll look at the stats from the Division 1 Southwest before we have a look at the fixtures that are coming up, and then we will look at the Cup. So, goals in the league so far in Southwest, it's Gemma Fraser of Chesham United, 9 goals in just 6 games at the top of the table. Southampton Women's Sean Wiley, 9 goals in 8 games for them. And then third for Bournemouth, Becky Bath, 7 goals in 6. Rosie Hill from Portishead, 7 goals in 9. And Connie Pengelly for Exeter City, 6 goals in 6 games. So that's everything that's happened and is and the current state of things with the tables. So now let's have a look at the fixtures that are coming up over the next week. Now it's a big County Cup week as well. So there are very few fixtures taking place across the leagues this weekend. Just 2 in the Northern Premier Division. Hull City against West Bromwich Albion and Middlesbrough against Stoke City. In the Southern Premier Division, Chichester and Chelsea take on Cardiff City. In Division 1 Midlands, Sporting Cowser take on Biddeford United and Wem Town face Doncaster Rovers Bells. In the North, Norton and Stockton Ancients take on Newcastle United. In the South East, 3 games, Billericay Town against Cambridge United, London Seaward versus Enfield Town and Norwich City against Harlow Town. And in Division 1 South West, Larkhall Athletic against Chesham United and Southampton Women against Portishead. So, that's everything to do with the league. Now let's have a look at the Cup, because last weekend we had fixtures in the Cup. We had the preliminary round. Now these are the fixtures that I spoke about a few weeks ago when we had the draw, where they needed to make it so that there were 32 teams in the first round and there were 38 teams that made it through to the Cup and to the plate. So they had to get 38 down to 32. So 26 teams got a bye and 12 teams were unfortunate enough to have to play this preliminary round game. And again, it was regionalised. So the results from that are as follows. Oxford United 5, Swindon Town 0. Bournemouth 5, Kent Football United 0. Brighouse Town 5, Stoke City 2. Derby County 5, Barnsley 0. Long Eaton United 3, Norton Stockton and Ancients 4. And Sheffield FC 2, AFC Fylde 5. So we will just go through those games as well and the plate games, and then we'll have a look at the first round draw, which was made today. So Oxford United 5, Swindon Town 0. A hat-trick for Sophie Baker. 4th, 29th and 31st minute for her. Beth Lumsden in the second half, 60th minute and 79th minute. AFC Bournemouth beating Kent Football United by 5 goals to 0 as well. Goals in that one, Katie James, 23rd minute and 43rd minute. Becky Bath in the 51st minute. Rebecca Barron in the 62nd. And Alexis Bussell in the 79th minute. Slightly closer game between Brighouse Town and Stoke City, where a hat-trick for Amy Woodruff and 2 goals for Leah Embley put Brighouse Town past Stoke, who had goals from Callum Barber and Beth Roberts to make it 5-2. Derby 5, Barnsley 0. Derby continuing their good run of form. Goals for Emily Joyce in the 28th and 69th minute, Megan Tinsley in the 51st and 62nd minute, and Ellie Gilliatt once again in the 76th minute. Made light work of Barnsley. Long Eaton United 3, Norton and Stockton Ancients 4, and this one was the very close one. Now, I haven't got timings on Long Eaton United, but goals from Laura Dexter, Alexis Spokes and Carla Thornton. What makes you realise this game was close is I do have timings for Norton and Stockton Ancients, who scored thanks to Bianca Owens in the 46th minute, Lily Patrick in the 70th minute, and Sasha Millwood in the 85th minute. And then Bianca Owens in the 4th minute of added time at the end of the game, the 94th minute, popping up with Norton and Stockton Ancients' 4th goal to see them past Long Eaton United. And finally, Sheffield FC 2, AFC Fylde 5. Goals for Sheffield from Lauren Everson and Yasmin Mason. Goals for AFC Fylde from Melanie Bartley in the 12th minute. 38th minute, Jodie Mortimer. 51st minute, Sasha Rowe. 53rd minute, Hannah Forster. And in the 48th minute, sorry, missed that one, Jess Holbrook. So again, relatively comfortable for AFC Fylde, and they go into the first round of the Cup. Let's have a look at the plate then. So here there are only 5 fixtures, and I'll talk about that a bit in a minute because it's something that I missed a few weeks ago that I should have brought up, so I'll bring it up once I've gone through these. FC United Manchester 0, Stockport County 3, Leafield Athletic 3, Solihull Moors 1, Maidenhead United 1, Queen's Park Rangers 6, Norwich City 0, AFC Wimbledon 4, and Sporting Cowser 5, Peterborough United 2. So we'll start with FC United of Manchester against Stockport County. But Stockport County have not yet revealed the lineup, so we'll move to Leafield Athletic against Solihull Moors. A hat-trick for Leafield for Daisy May Clements. 41st, 44th and 68th minute. And goal for Solihull Moors from the penalty spot, Lois Jeffries in the 31st minute. Move through Maidenhead United against Queen's Park Rangers. Kirsty Matthews with the goal for Maidenhead United. Queen's Park Rangers, though, with 6. 2 for Melanie Hall. 1 for Laura Hennessy, Brogan Moore and Joanna Blodgett. And that, to me, only makes... Oh, and an opposition own goal as well makes the 6th goal for Queen's Park Rangers. Norwich City 0, AFC Wimbledon 4, but AFC Wimbledon haven't announced their squad. So we'll move to Sporting Cowser against Peterborough United, a 5-2 victory for Sporting Cowser. They goals for Sporting Cowser coming from Louisa Anderson in the 21st minute, and then Sarah Hazel with the quick-fire double 1 minute later. Rebecca Gill-Parsons in the 38th minute made it 3. Hannah Pendred got 2 to make it 3-2. And then it was 2 late goals for Sporting Cowser. Chloe Handley in the 1st minute of stoppage time at the end of the game. Molly Wright in the 4th minute of stoppage time at the end of the game made it 5-2 to Sporting Cowser. And that is the all of the results. So you will notice from the FAWNL plate preliminary round, there's only 5 fixtures there, and there were 6 from the Cup. Now, this is something that there was always, and I'll be honest, I just didn't twig about it. But that means there is a team that played in the determining round that then is not in the Cup or the plate. And I did some investigation into this, and that side is Burnley, who beat Hull City by 7 goals to 2 in the determining round, and yet it has since been awarded as a home walkover to Hull City. And Burnley are not in either competition. Hull City are in the Cup. So either, and I don't know the answer to this because I only discovered this, it's currently 5 past 5, and I'm still hoping to get this out by 6 o'clock. But I only discovered this afternoon when I was looking at it. But so Burnley are not in either competition. Hull have been given the win despite losing that game. So the only conclusion I've come to, and again, because I can't find anything on either club's Twitters or the league, if somebody knows the actual answer, let me know and I will correct it for next week's episode. But the assumption is either Burnley have decided to completely pull out of the cups, or they were expelled for something such as fielding an ineligible player. Again, I don't know the answer. I didn't have time to ask questions around. But if somebody does know the answer, let me know and I will correct myself in next week's episode. But that means that one team in the plate first round draw, as we'll see in a minute, has received a bye, but everybody else is playing. Let's start then with the Cup. Billericay Town against Enfield Town. Cambridge United take on Loughborough Lightning. Chichester and Chelsea against Plymouth Argyle. Derby County against Burton Albion. Durham Sestra against AFC Fylde. Gillingham take on Crawley Wasps. Hashtag United versus Bournemouth. Huddersfield Town against Middlesbrough. Ipswich Town against Southampton. Now that is the key fixture. Ipswich Town against Southampton. They are both on 100% records in the Southern Division. Now they may not be by the time these games are played, but one of them has got to lose. So that is going to be really key, and that might just serve as the precedent for what's going to happen in the league. Because you feel already at this stage of the season, like Ipswich against Southampton, those two games in the league is going to decide that league. Liverpool Feds against Chorley. MK Dons take on Cambridge City. Newcastle United against Brighouse Town. Norton Stockton Ancients against Chester Street Town. Oxford United versus Bridgewater United. Southampton Women against Cardiff City. And Wolverhampton Wanderers against Hull City. Now, in the plate, we've got Actonians against Cheltenham Town. AFC Wimbledon take on Chesham United. Biddeford United against Buckland Athletic. Bradford City against Boldmere St Michael's. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Nottingham Forest. Exeter City versus Keynsham Town. Holwell Sports against Larkhall Athletic. Leafield Town against Leek Town. Leeds United against Stockport County. Poole Town against London Seaward. Portishead Town versus Harlow Town. Portsmouth against Hounslow. Sporting Calza take on Lincoln City. Stevenage face Queen's Park Rangers. And Wem Town face West Bromwich Albion. Alnwick Town gets that bye because of Burnley not being in the plate. These ties all to be played on the weekend of Sunday the 7th of November. And that will about do it for this week's episode of the FA Women's National League show. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, thank you for your support with the show. If you'd like to get involved in any way, either leave a comment down below or message me on Twitter at Chris_Gadsby. But a bit of a quieter week next week coming up for the FA Women's National League. But as ever, Tuesday, 6 p.m, I'll be here to guide you through everything that's happened in the last 7 days and what we can look forward to in the week to come. For now, keep supporting your local women's football team. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Stay safe and goodbye.